Well, we're in the pits at Orlando Speed World with Carl Tasca. And Carl, we want to welcome you to the World Street Nationals here at Orlando, Florida.
It's good to be here.
Yeah, good to be anywhere now with these cars.
Right. Yeah, no, Florida's nice this time of the year. We're having a lot of fun with this new Cobra jet.
Yeah.
I haven't played with it much, just a little suspension work and changed the torque converter. And it's running, well, it ran 843 Thursday night. Haven't done that since, but we ran 860 something last night.
Wow.
The last race of the night. I ran an 010 Cobra jet, a buddy of mine.
Yeah.
And it was a close race. It was a close race. It was
amazing.
Nice to see two Fords racing.
You know, we're talking about this car being a 2016 model.
That's correct.
Now, they started coming out with the second generation Cobra jets here in what year? Was it 08?
2008, 40th anniversary.
Wow.
Yeah, we got two of them. We had them shipped to the dealership, and I'll never forget it, Jimmy. It was February, cold. My father walked in the garage with a coat on and his famous Russian mink hat.
Yeah.
Looking at the car, and there's a tear coming down his eye.
No kidding.
And I said, Dad, I got an idea. He said, what is it? I said, why don't we build a nostalgia car, and I'll play with it this year. We'll have some fun. And he didn't say yes, he didn't say no, so that meant I could do it. And I did.
Right?
We had a lot of fun.
Wow, wow. I guess the tear in his eye has to come from the fact that he is given credit for coming up with the whole Cobra Jet program back in '68.
Jimmy, I lived it. He built the Ford. We had a 390 Mustang, my father's car, 67. He went to Detroit. He was always in Detroit trying to help Ford. And me, my brother, and a fellow named Billy Loomis took it out on a Friday night and blew the engine.
Wow.
So Dad came home, and Saturday morning, we told him what happened. And after he chewed us out, he said, well, we're going to have to build something better. And he built the 428 Police Interceptor short block, the little head work. And we brought it out to Detroit, the test track.
Yeah.
And we did everything Ford had in the test track, including a 427. And my father suggested that Mr. Ford, he build it. It's a good street car, and Mr. Ford looked at all the top engineers and said, we're going to build Bob's car.
Is that right?
Probably because it was cheaper than the 427, but
yeah.
And it became the Cobra jet.
Wow. And what a history. That car in '68 went out to California, ruled the Superstock, took the drag racing world by surprise.
That was probably the finest and fastest showroom car in history. You know, It's funny. We got three of them in, Jimmy. In 1968, I didn't have a license yet, and my father said to me and Bobby, take them up to the gravel bank and weigh them, and the lightest one will drive down to Home and Moody and make a race car out of it. And
wow.
The lightest one was 3 pounds lighter than the other one.
Is that right?
He said, we're going to take that one.
3 pounds made a difference.
And that's how he was. Wow. He was a fanatic, and we built the race car. And the rest is history.
Now, you mentioned your brother, Bobby. There's actually, tell us about the Tasca family at that time. We know your daddy's famous as senior. They called him the Bopper.
They called him the Bopper.
Had a bunch of nicknames and all, but what about the family behind that?
Well, there's a hell of a family. There's Bob Jr., Carl, and David. There's my sister, Tricia. And all the boys are in the business, and now their kids are in the business. And we all live together. My father built everybody a house for a wedding gift. Hired Coca-Cola at the Ponderosa. And
wow.
Worked together, ate together, lived together, and basically family, Ford, and friends. That was our life.
Wow. Well, some of you guys added drag racing in addition to Ford, but you're telling me one of your brothers really never did take an interest in the racing end of it.
No, my brother David, really, he's got a few street cars that never drove on the racetrack, which is okay. He's a hard worker. I call him the nicest Tasca. David's always in a good mood, happy. Bobby did a little racing, but I basically did the most racing. I hung around Billy Lawton as a kid. I idolized Billy and hung around John Healy. John's still on the team. He's usually with me, but he's not with me this week, and he's okay though. And I just developed a habit for racing, a lot of street racing. I used to go street racing with my father, Jimmy, and I got knocked off one night by the state cops, and he said to me, "Did your father know you're racing?" I said, "Why don't you ask him? He's right behind me in the speed bird." And that didn't go over too well.
I'll bet not. No. Now, where'd you race up there? Were there usual places in Rhode Island?
We used to race on the street, Wampanoag Trail in Barrington and
Wow.
146 in North Providence. I don't know why we didn't get killed, because we were crazy.
Yeah. Street outlaws before street outlaws back then.
Those were real street outlaws. But we had a lot of fun.
You mentioned connection to Bill Lawton a few minutes ago. Of course, I want to take you back in time. Roll the clock back to probably late 1963, early 64, with the Thunderbolt.
I know exactly what you're talking about. The boys just brought the car back from Dearborn. It wasn't even painted up. And we took it to the dragway and we made a couple of runs with it. And you got a film of it, matter of fact, you sent me recently.
Yeah.
This man that I'm talking to right now put together a bunch of films that go back over 50 years, and he sent the Tasca family a bunch of them, and it's a treasure. It's a real
history piece, isn't it?
I'm in that film walking up to Johnny Healy and watching the car run. And that's really, the Thunderbolt is really the race car that started to put us on the map. And then the year after, the AFX Mustang over at Cam Engine car is the car that really made my dad famous. My father always said business made him money, but racing made him famous.
How about that?
And it was a good combination.
Yeah. Now, the Thunderbolt era happened. You're about 11 years old, you're telling me.
That's right.
You got a team jacket on. You're hanging out with Bill Lawton, John Healy. Man, that had to be big time for an 11-year-old.
It was like living a dream.
I'll bet.
It was living a dream. The exposure we got being around my father, going to the Ford test track, and Mario Andretti drove our 68 Cobra Jet as a promotion to Connecticut Dragway one year.
Wow.
He actually flew onto the track and a private plane landed. Had a match race with the owner of the track, Frank Murata, won the race, never drove a drag car. And after the race, he was interviewed.
Wow.
And they said, "Mario, what made you think you'd get in that Mustang for the first time and win?" He said, "Because Bob Tasca prepared the car."
How about
and
that?
Mario Andretti to this day is still our friend.
Isn't that amazing?
What a great promotion.
Yeah, that
Drag
was.
racing has done a lot
for
this
Tasca
country
family.
and the Tasca family. No question about it.
Well, I want to know, what was it that hooked you up? Do you have a memory back to maybe the first experience of a drag car and how you felt when you saw it and you knew that was going to be something you wanted to do?
Well, the first experience I had was probably in 1963 at Charleston. We used to start with the Flag Man, and we used to go early Sunday morning, me, my father, and the three boys, and we go racing.
Is that right?
And my father had a famous expression, Jim. Before the race, the fans would say, "Mr. Tasca, how's it going to run today?" And he'd always give the same answer. He said, "I didn't come here to get sunburned." That was his answer. And that's my vivid memory. I'll never forget that statement.
That's a great one, no doubt about it,
And we won most of the races.
Now here you are in your 6th decade now, and you're still doing it. Did you think when this first started that it would last an entire lifetime for you?
No, I didn't, but I'm sure glad it does.
Boy, isn't that the
We're having a good time.
And you get to meet so many nice people on the road. You know, here you are rubbing elbows with just regular racers, regular people.
I love these people.
What is it when people come over here? What do they talk to you about?
Well, for instance, I'm sitting here yesterday, and a couple of older gentlemen came over, and they said, "Tasca, is that the original Tasca?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Did you know Bob?" I said, "Your little bitty was my father." And then, they bought cars from my dad. They retired down here, and the stories.
Wow.
And I just love hearing it, and I really get a lot of satisfaction running this car to honor my father, and it's just a lot of fun, and I love my father. He was a great guy.
Yes, he was. No doubt about that.
I really enjoy doing it.
Well, we certainly thank what the Tasca family did for the Blue Oval, for drag racing, and Mr. Tasca for bringing up such a great group of people and his family. I'll tell you, you have given so much back.
Well, we're going to keep giving it back, and the third generation has the same attitude. You know, my dad, 2 days before he passed away, Jimmy, he took the boys and the grandsons in a room, and he said, forget about the money you got. I'm leaving you boys an impeccable reputation. Don't wreck it.
Wow.
And we are not going to.
That's terrific.
Pleasure talking to you, Jimmy.
Great talking to you. And good luck out on the track today. We're going to see how you make out there.
Thank you very much.
All right, buddy.